What would it feel like to read a love letter that God actually wrote to you? And I am not talking about a letter in the Bible. I'm talking about an actual letter that he wrote specifically for you. Well, I'm going to share a story about how God wrote me a letter to give me a very special message that implicates you. My name is Saril Vasquez, and I am a multi-certified functional medicine practitioner that brings the spiritual aspect of healing into private practice. And it's another reason why I have this YouTube channel, because I find that people are trying to heal with so many different modalities, and oftentimes there's a spiritual component to healing. Like there might be either a demonic interference, a curse, or a choice that you're making that's allowing this to happen that could be corrected and help you have a breakthrough. And so with that being said, I make it a practice to lead my clients through a 21-day fast. We do like 21 days of not eating sugar, gluten, dairy, corn, or rice, and sacrificing our flesh. And I tell them, hey, why don't you take that time to actually pray every day as well and bring a petition to God? Like come to him and ask him a question, come to him and have him speak directly to you clearly, because you've shown him that this vessel is not as important as him. And you're wanting to establish connection to the spiritual world. And oftentimes I have incredible breakthroughs. We have incredible breakthroughs because of the fact that we incorporate this spiritual practice. And so I bring that up because I may or may not have been fasting the day that this happened. And I remember praying and not feeling the presence of God. And I asked God, how come I can't feel your presence? Like it's actually been a couple of days now that I'm praying and I don't really feel you. And as Christians, we shouldn't necessarily train ourselves to expect that every time we pray, we're going to start crying and we're going to feel the holy presence and whatever that looks like for you. For some people, it's speaking in tongues, or they start dancing in the spirit, or falling on the floor, whatever the case is. I do none of those things, but I can feel a change in the atmosphere. I could feel a change in the environment when I feel overwhelmed by his love, when I communicate with him. And he often influences how I pray when I'm in that state. And so I was really missing that, and I thought I would ask, because I remember seeing, similar to you, a YouTube video where someone had mentioned that if you're praying and you don't feel the presence of God, it could be because you're in disobedience. So long and behold, after asking him what was going on, those were his words. He said, you're in disobedience. And I said, what do you mean I'm in disobedience? And if you can tell, as someone who is, really wanting to experience something out of this world. Regular life is boring, you guys. I want to live my life waiting for the next miracle, having a next experience where God reminds me of how real he is. And the fact that he's always with me. And if he's with me, I promise you, he's with you too. He's with all of us. And we experience him differently based on how we seek him and how strong our faith is. And so in this moment, I could have said to myself, okay, I just made that up. I'm on a disobedience like that. That's the Satan. But instead I leaned in and I said, God, if I'm in disobedience, I'd really like to know how, and I'd like to know why. And so please do me a favor. I would love for you to write me a letter. And how that looks like is I'm going to take this piece of paper. I actually have the letter with me right here. Okay. So I'm going to take this piece of paper and I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to let my pen write, but it's not going to be me. I don't want anything in my mind preconceived making it on this paper. So completely blank out my mind and take control of my hand and just write me a letter and tell me, please, what's going on. And this is what he said. I love you, my dearest. As far as the earth is from the sea, I love you. He's so sweet. I'm proud of your efforts and continual searching of me. And this is where he threw me off. Get ready. The end is near, and I need you to let the world know there isn't much time left. Satan's punishment is coming, and he's scared. It's up to you to spare as many lives as possible from dying with him. Can you focus on this for me? Can you make that a daily focus? Can you let others know how much I love them and that I'm eager to speak to them the way I speak to you? They don't have to suffer anymore because they get to lean on me for everything. Be that person for me, and I will bless you among your wildest measure. Now, at this point, I said, God, you don't have to bless me for me to do that. Like, I kind of should be doing that. Hello, I'm in disobedience, he said. And if you guys watched my last video, you would have heard the story about how I had a dream where God basically was telling me that he needed me to help people and bring this message out. And like, I wasn't doing it because it was inconvenient. And, you know, like, people are hurting because of that. And so this letter came after. And it was because I never reacted to the dream. I never had done anything to change the situation. And so he gave me specific directions here about making it a daily focus. And the messaging being that he wants to talk to you directly. He wants to reveal himself to you. It's going to take a different set of choices. It's going to take a different level of dedication if you want to reach that level of exposure. But now is the time, because the world is changing quite severely. As you guys can see, I mean, at the time of this recording, we already have the technology in place for the so-called mark of the beast, right? I've seen so many YouTube videos on how cryptocurrency could be this mark of the beast, because it could be this one method of everyone being able to buy things worldwide that can be tracked, that can be like forced upon you, and where they could verify if it was you making the purchase or not making the purchase. And if you don't use it, then you won't be able to buy. And like, there are infrastructures going into place right now to make that happen. Now, I know this is controversial, and you could let me know in the comments if you think that crypto is the mark of the beast or not, like if that's going to be the technology, the medium that's being used in order to implement this. But that happens after the rapture, you guys. So well, that means that Jesus is coming before that even happens, okay? And so what does that mean? If the infrastructure is already here, we really don't have that much time. I mean, Jesus has been saying he's coming back soon since he was literally on earth. And that was thousands of years ago. So clearly his definition of soon and my definition of soon don't really match. But it is the year 2025. And this message is coming across through me. And so to add more to the story, if there's a part of you that thinks, how do you know that was really God? I mean, seriously, like you that just came out of your head and you're supposed to believe that that's God. There might be some of you that are skeptical. So I asked God to really give me some substantiation, like to kind of confirm that this message was from him, even though I believed with all of my heart that this message was from him. That being said, I made a list. I made a list of ways that I could make it a daily practice to tell people about Jesus. And believe it or not, YouTube was not on the list. And the reason it wasn't was because at the time, I didn't feel like I really wanted to make regular YouTube videos about all of these things. One thing that was on the list was an app called TV. This is an app where you go on there and you swipe. And instead of swiping profiles, you swipe people, live people on these apps. You swipe, you get a person, and every time I landed on one, I would say, hey, I'm on this app praying for people. Can I pray for you? Can I pray with you? And would you believe this letter was written to me April 1st. At the time of this recording, It is the end of October, and 60 people have given their life to Jesus on that app. Praise the Lord. And so I took that as a confirmation that this is what God wanted and that he was actually asking me to do that and to take it seriously for a reason. There were other things that I put on there, but this was the one that I thought, I should try just to see, to make sure that God was confirming it. And so I come here today, and I'll close with this, to ask you a question. And that question is, do you want God to speak more clearly to you? And do you feel like perhaps he has been speaking to you, but maybe you haven't really been believing that it was him? Maybe you're unsure at times whether or not that was him, or it was a coincidence, or it was serendipity. And so if your desire in your heart is to experience Christ, it's to experience God in a supernatural way, in a way that you never have experienced him before, my suggestion to you is to start incorporating regular fasting into your life, in your prayers, and to have faith when you receive the message that it actually is him, and just act as if. And throughout this channel, I'll be sharing with you many stories where I started learning to listen to the voice of God, and I started experiencing these very supernatural stories. And it was only because of my faith and the fact that God was talking to me and I wasn't making it up. And he actually trained me on how to do that. And the next YouTube video, I'm going to share the story of how God trained me to listen to his voice so that you can learn to listen to his too. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.